People, welcome to the Viking Weekly Warm-Up. Hey, school, everybody, and welcome to the Vikings Weekly Warm-Up. We're back. Hey, man, sorry we missed a week. I am your host with the most, the Vikes. And the guy with me, whose behavior is completely embarrassing, but he's also highly entertaining, is Mr. C.B. Becker. C.B.
I've never embarrassed you. Well, there was that one time in college, but you know what? That was okay because you looked good in that dress. Yeah, you had the legs to pull it off. I just did not. I was way too hairy.
I know it. Still very hairy. I'll give that to you, CB. All right, listen, actually, speaking of dresses, we just had a Halloween. And as Vikings, we tricked and we sacked the shit out of Detroit's Matthew Stafford. For the treats, we all went out and had fun just a few days before on the Wednesday in commemoration of the holiday and the Stafford smearing that was subsequent. Let's start this show off with something new. How about 5 things the Bakes loves best about Halloween?
Oh my God, I was waiting for this list. Yes, go!
I know. We're going original. Number 5 thing the Bakes loves best about Halloween. I love making those fun-sized candy bars even more fun by cutting them in half and then wrapping them up in Scotch tape before I give them to the kids.
You're going to make the little kids work for it, huh?
That's it. That's it. Number 4 thing Bakes love best about Halloween. I love cooking up the homemade mini meatloafs that I also give out when I run out of the fun-sized candy bars.
Oh, good Lord. Give the kids, make them work for it, and then give them the runs with your meatloaf. That's great.
You're nailing it. You're with me. Number 3 thing Bakes loves about Halloween. I love going back to the houses that hand out those healthy Halloween treats and pelting them with organic eggs.
Oh, see, you're going to get them with their own, you're going to hit them with their own medicine.
A little bit of dryness.
One year, I got kale puffs. Someone was giving out kale puffs. It was terrible.
You should have organic egged them, see? Number 2 thing that the Bakes loves about Halloween, I love pissing off the neighborhood kids, like really bad all week before Halloween. So when they toilet paper my house, I get to collect it all, and then I don't have to go to Costco for like 2 months.
Dude, you are such a conservationist.
I am environmentalist. All right, and the number 1 thing the Bakes loves most about Halloween, I love carving my pumpkin even when it keeps thrashing around and yelling, "I'm not a pumpkin, it's Bobby, you crazy son of a bitch."
So you figured out that it wasn't really Jack-o'-lantern, it was your friend. It was your friend Jack.
Not the lantern.
Yeah, not the lantern that you were carving.
All right, on to Detroit.
Wait.
What?
Wait, I want to do something funny too. Can I do something funny? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. CB, I've got the spotlight on him now. He's in front of the whole audience and he's ready to go with CB's big joke. Hit it.
Okay. This is really okay, so you get there's you have okay, let's go on to Detroit. How about Detroit?
How about that? Wow. You know what? Detroit was actually pretty funny itself. The Lions put their tail between their legs and they crawled to the plane, leaving Minnesota sore and sad after their 24-9 loss, man. This was a torment the quarterback night for the Minnesota Vikings, baby. Our defense beat him silly. We tossed him around. We sandwiched him. We threw him to the ground. It was an awesome night. Hell, our defense was so high they even celebrated 1 sack with a double leaping karate chapola kick.
They couldn't have choreographed that better. That was so stellar. They were just on point all night long.
Dude, what a picture that was. But the Vikings sacked Stafford a career 10 times, set a team record, and we walked away from the pummeling, grinning ear to ear. But it could have been even uglier. On one interview with Sheldon Richardson that I saw after the game, he said that we left something out there, to be honest with you. He said maybe 3 or 4 of them. He also went on in the same interview to say that he hadn't been part of a game like that since Peewee Football. Oh!
Ouch!
Bada, bang.
That hurts them right in their ego.
It hurts him right in there, something. As it was, 6 different Vikings combined for their team record 10 sacks, with left end Danielle Hunter feasting to the tune of 3.5 sacks and a fumble he returned for a touchdown. Boom!
Yes! Do not call him Danielle. His name is Daniil. And he has proved himself to be...
Daniil is riding tonight on a sack. Oh, it looks like Daniil sacked Stafford so hard pebbles got in his eye. Because the pebbles got in his eye. You know, one time he introduced him to the carpet so bad, he rubbed his nose in it, and when Stafford got up, he literally had pebbles in his eye. Sorry.
I think some of those pebbles were like from the Cretaceous period. I think that's how far down they buried him underneath the ground. I think there were some Japanese pebbles in there. So Danielle Hunter, 11.5 sacks.
What?
He is just killing it. He is absolutely killing it. Between him and Richardson and Linval Joseph and Everson Griffin, they were absolutely out of control. They were stellar.
They were killer. Watching this game, they were so damn brutal that I almost felt like it didn't seem fair. You know, and it's funny, too, because there was a number of analysts out there that were predicting the Vikings to lose this game, in part because we were playing without 4 key starters. But, man, were they dead wrong. And our Vikings pillaged Detroit, who was 3-5 and on the verge of falling out of any remote hope of playoff contention.
Yeah, they are completely falling off the map. And, hey, I have something for us. I have a list of my own.
Whoa.
I have the 3 people that you would not expect to see on the leaderboard of the Viking sack list. How about that?
Right on. Let's do this instead of a joke.
Okay. Yes. So, the number one person, I previewed this in a previous podcast. So if you heard me in a previous podcast, you know this one. Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith is now tied for second in the sack lead for the Vikings. So, Harrison Smith is our first one. You expect him to be the leader in interceptions, which, by the way, he is with 3. But he has just as many sacks with 3, which puts him in a tie for second place on the Viking sack list.
Awesome.
The second person that you would not expect to see among the leaders in sacks on the Vikings, Stephen Weatherly. Stephen Weatherly, where did he come from?
He is coming off a hook.
Exactly. And all of a sudden, he has just come out of his shell, and he's got 3 sacks as well. So, Harrison Smith, Stephen Weatherly, what do you know? Number 3, you would not have guessed this person in a million years unless you looked at the stats like I did and found out that our third person is none other than Mackenzie Alexander. Our nickel cornerback is now tied for second place for sacks on the Vikings.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Awesome list.
Getting along those lines of sacking, we sacked Matthew Stafford 10 times, which is amazing. And we held him under 200 yards, which for Matthew Stafford is saying something. That guy, he'll spray the ball all over the field. He throws it around like it's a Frisbee. He throws it around like it's free candy in a parade. You know what?
It's like that chick from The Exorcist, you know. Your mother.
Exactly. It's like the vomit.
Yeah.
He throws it around like her vomit. A lot of people will say it's because they're lacking one of their offensive weapons.
Oh,
but
yeah. Wide receiver Golden Tate. Traded him to the Eagles last week. 2019 pick. What was it?
It was a 3rd round draft pick.
That's right, 3rd round. Big loss for them.
It was. It was a huge loss for them, and it really feels like the Detroit Lions front office is in selling mode. It feels like they're in give-up mode. They gave Matthew Stafford all the money in the world. They gave him money to buy a small country if he wanted to, and then they said, okay, but now you don't have any toys to play with, because we're going to sell off Golden Tate, and we're going to give you all mediocre players across the board. Yeah, you could talk about Golliday. I looked at some of their play-by-play guys, and their sports writers were talking about Golliday. And their quotes were, you never know what you're going to get with Golliday every week. Some weeks he shows up. Some weeks
he's on a Golliday.
He's not. Some weeks he's on a Golliday, and he'll give you one reception. Yeah. That was a good one. No I like that. That was awesome.
You know, it's funny because you mentioned Tate, and this is a side angle, but I don't know. Would Tate have made a lot of difference in this game? Because he wouldn't have been on the offensive line making blocks. The guy wasn't a blocker. However, for them, having anyone on the offensive line actually making a block might have been an improvement. Stafford literally was a human piñata. I mean, he got whacked over and over and over and over. And Tate wouldn't have been playing on defense. He wouldn't have been making tackles, and he wouldn't have stopped the Vikings running game, which has been a problem for Detroit all year. So I don't know. Right. Tate is a tremendous loss, but it just occurs to me he might not be, he wasn't the game.
No. He wouldn't have been a game changer, but listening to their sports writers in Detroit, their view of him is he's the guy that can get you the third down when you need it, and he can get you, close to 100 yards pretty much every game. He's very solid, and someone that they miss on that front is that he can be a solid clutch third down catch guy.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
So the other person that the Vikings held in check was Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson, they had a lot of hope for him. They think, listening to them, they think he's going to be the next Barry Sanders, and he just did not. Mm-mm. That did not prove out.
They wish they had another Barry Sanders. It's sad. The Lions couldn't run the ball. I mean, they gained 66 yards on 24 carries. They converted 4 of 15 third downs, man. They couldn't pass the ball. Stafford finished 25 of 36 for, what'd you say, 199?
199, yeah.
So, and most of the production Stafford had came in like the fourth quarter. I think he got like 90 yards or something in the fourth quarter.
A lot of that was garbage time. Their highest receiver yardage-wise was 66 yards. And a ton of that was that garbage time stuff that you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, offensively, I guess the Lions really played their worst game of the entire year, both yards and points. I'll tell you what, from the top of the game, the Lions were faced right from the opening kick. We knew that they were gonna blow it because the kicker Martin came running out, slipped, fell on his ass, and squibbed the ball to the Vikings, who returned it to like the 35-yard line. It was like
he basically whiffed it.
He whiffed it, and you could almost sense the Vikings like, holy shit, another team made a mistake. It's not us, and they just grabbed control of it, and then they systematically drove down and scored on a 9-play, 65-yard drive. It was beautiful.
It really was. It was a thing of beauty, and you could tell what Dalvin Cook meant to this team as well. He fit into the rhythm of the offense perfectly.
Yeah, we maintained control from that moment on, and we really hardcored it. And we held the Lions to field goals on successive trips to the red zone in the second quarter, right? They were down there on like the 2-yard line, and they got to go for it like twice in a row over a penalty. We still held them. And then we pulled away with that amazing 22-mile-an-hour, 70-yard run by Dalvin Cook. It was the fastest recorded run all year so far.
It was amazing, and that's what we hope to see from him all season long. And I just have to hope that he stays healthy.
Absolutely. His run down there then set up the 2-yard Kirk Cousins to Adam Thielen touchdown pass. And thank God for that. I'm glad Thielen got to do something because, without Diggs, he didn't do a lot. That was the first then of 17 unanswered Viking points and really the end of the game. Absolutely,
yeah. The defense played bend but don't break, and the Vikings took advantage.
Cook hasn't played since September, and he had 89 of the Vikings' 128 rushing. In a pretty quiet, offensive day overall. Thielen, the NFL's leading receiver, as we all know, had 4 catches for 22 yards. And Cousins, who entered the week as the second in the league in passing, had 18 of 22 for 164 yards.
Yeah, it didn't seem like the Vikings had a lot of offense. It didn't seem like They had a couple of big splash plays, but they just controlled the game so well.
We didn't need offense thanks to a defense that dominated that line of scrimmage like nobody's business.
Absolutely. And I wanted to take just a minute to talk about a little bit about Diggsy, a little bit about Stefon Diggs. He is very integral to this team. We saw a Vikings team that has a limitation once you get past our first two receivers. They blanketed Adam Thielen and had him double covered for the majority of the game. And our other two wideouts that were heavily used during the game, Laquan Treadwell and Aldrick Robinson, were not able to get the separation that they needed. They're not able to get the separation that we see from Stefon Diggs. If they're going to double cover Adam Thielen, we have Stefon Diggs that can make people pay. That's something that we need to have moving forward.
Yeah, so two number one receivers is very different than one number one and a couple of number threes.
Absolutely, and that's what we see. One of the people that I thought really came through in this game, and it doesn't show in the stats, but it shows, I think, in heart, was Chad Beebe.
Oh, yeah, I gotta give props to him.
I am a super big Chad Beebe fan. Son of Don Beebe, of course, the Buffalo Bills special teams Hall of Famer, and I just can't say enough about this kid. Love his heart. He runs routes, I feel like Danny Amendola or the kid from Dallas, Hogan, that Hogan kid. Really great route runner and tough. Love that kid.
I like him too. Well, we're heading into the bye week, so I want to wish everybody a relaxing and fun-filled weekend. We're not going to get into the Bears game. We may get together and try and do a little bit about the Bears game prior to it if we get some time. Other than that, that's ice at the end of the glass, man. Want to say goodnight, CB?
Boy, I tell you what, I love my Skull family. I watch you guys on Facebook talk, and I have to say how much I love my Skull family. I think you all are fantastic. I love this type of fanship. I love the type of fanship where we can all get together and have debates that don't digress into name calling and spewing hatred and crap, and we can love our Vikings and we can love them together. That's
right the key. On. Yes, props out to the Viking Fan Lounge. This is your road-ripping word slinger to bake saying, get on down, get on down, get on down that